Hello, this is the Township Sun Young Voices project, writing fiction for magazines with me, Rebecca Welton. Top tip 4, structure. So how do you structure your short fiction? Well, there are different options and you need to go with one that fits your story best. What do we mean by structure? So this refers to the length and arrangement of scenes, the movement through time, for example, with the use of flash forwards and flashbacks, and how you distribute the exposition. So the exposition is the details that give the reader the background information necessary to understand the story. So let's have a look at these 3 different aspects to structure. So the first, the arrangement of scenes. So you can do this in a number of ways, but a popular one is a 3-act structure. This is very similar to the 5-act structure that is often used for novels. So with a 3-act structure, you have the first act, which is the introduction. Here, you introduce your characters and the setting. Some crisis, the inciting incident, will take your protagonist, who's the main character, out of their comfort zone. Act 2, the confrontation. So the protagonist has a setback in achieving their goals. This is where you raise the tension by making the situation worse for your main character. Act 3, the resolution. So this is where the protagonist takes some sort of action to overcome the obstacle or the setback. So that is the arrangement of scenes. You can use the 3-act structure. It is a very popular and very simple to use. Secondly, the use of flashbacks. It is important to ask how the flashback fits in with other parts of your story. So ask yourself, is it really needed? Stories, no matter what their length, short stories, novels, doesn't matter. They all have present action. This is the time frame in which the main action of the story happens. Any movement away from this present action, for example, in the using flashbacks or flash forward, should be used to strengthen the present action. So does it give the reader insight into the motivations or mindset of a main character? If your story works just as well without the flashback, leave it out. With short stories, you don't have the word count to include digressions unless they are really important to the story. However, a flashback done well, it can cast the whole story in a new light. It can add depth to the characters and events, and it can add layers of meaning. Third, and finally, we're going to look at the use of exposition. So in stories, structure and pace are really important, especially in short stories. You don't want to rush the story so that the reader doesn't feel its full impact, but you also really don't want the reader to fall asleep or to stop reading. So how and where can you add exposition to your story? The opening is an option, but the opening of a short story needs to jump into the action and introduce the main character. This is really not the place for large amounts of exposition. So where do you put it? You also don't want to have a really tight opening and then dump all the exposition in the middle of your piece. This is just going to slow down the narrative and bore the reader. So you want to try and release the exposition only as and when the reader needs it. Tell them only as much as they need to know in order to understand what is going on. Break the exposition into small parts and make it flow naturally as part of the story. Check out our YouTube channel for more top tips on writing for magazines, and happy writing.